What should we start with first, though?
We got to start with
yeah.
The headline is Sha'Carri Richardson. The headline is going to continue to be Sha'Carri Richardson, it feels like, until she stops running. Listen, she runs that semi, and I know it was wind dated, but she goes 10.65 in a semi. We're not used to seeing 10.6s, and I know this year we've seen a couple throughout the world, but it still is a jaw-dropping moment when you see someone post a 10.6. And then all the questions turn to the final and how fast she would go in the final. She's kind of gone beyond, hey, is she going to win the U.S. trials? It's now, hey, is she going to be able to put up a historic mark? And she runs a 10.8 into the headwind, which was insanely impressive. But this is the Sha'Carri. I mean, people have been saying it's the Sha'Carri show. It's the Sha'Carri show. What did you think of her actually going out there and doing it, Gordon?
Yeah, like you said, prelim time is PR time. She runs, albeit a wind aid at 10.6 in the semis. And she just clearly is the class of the field. I was kind of shocked the way the final played out because she was in like third or fourth after 25 meters, after 50 meters. She really didn't get control of the race until the final 30-ish meters. And then once she caught up to the field, it was all she wrote. And she kind of just pulled away, easily winning by, almost 0.2 of a second, which is just like a dominating win for the 100, obviously. So it looked like she was kind of conservative in this race. I think she was kind of just maybe the 10.6 in the previous prelim kind of took a lot more out of her than we expected, and she didn't have the greatest first 60% of this race, but she's so good that she can afford to have an easygoing first 60% and then close that final 40% like world class. So her winning, I thought, was inevitable. Time was what we expected. I think, though, the big story coming out of this 100 is who got second and third. Mm-hmm. Literally a week ago, we had the college kids throwing down incredible times, and we're thinking, oh, my God, Cambria Sturgis, Tamara Clark, Tanisha Terry, they're truly in the conversation to be on Team USA. None of them make the final, and it's the vets. The vets are the ones who make the teams. Tiana Daniels comes on strong finally when it mattered most after kind of a low-key regular season, gets third, and Geneva Oliver gets second, breaking 11 seconds in that headwind. Veteran and experience clearly matters, and I think it showed here. You look at the final, everyone was a vet, Even Candace Hill, who's like she's a young vet because she's been pro for a few years now, but there was no college kids in this final. It was all people who have been on the pro circuit, and that's what it took to make the team. And you wonder if this is going to translate over to the men's events, over into the 200s. Is it going to be experience is key for making U.S. teams in the sprint events?
Mm-hmm. And how much did that 1 week break matter for the collegians? Would it have been better if it was 3 weeks? Would it have been worse if it was 3 weeks? But credit to Daniels and Oliver for rising to the occasion. I mean, this is the second time Daniels has made a team, and in 2019 when she made the team, she came back after losing that NCAA championship race on her home track to Sha'Carri Richardson, and she made the team, and she found a way again to make the team. Prandini fourth, Thomas fifth, Gardner sixth, Hobbs in seventh, but was a late reinstatement after she was disqualified from her semi-heat in what was just a bizarre set of circumstances. Gordon, what did you think about that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird every time you have these false starts and hey, did it happen, did not happen? If there's any sort of question mark, you got to let them run under protest, right? Just let the race play out and DQ them after, especially in a semifinal. Like, no one's getting hurt by her being in her lane in that semifinal. It kind of probably screwed up Leah Hobbs in the end because she then had to wait and get last minute added to the start line in this final. So I think in general, every time I see false starts, unless it's obvious, it's like, okay, you're out. But in that situation, there was no false start there. I mean, did you think there was a false start in that semifinal?
The thing is, it shouldn't matter what I thought because the block should tell us this. There's sensors there that let us know exactly how much movement, if any, there was. You saw Thomas obviously move and make a big move out of the blocks. Anybody could have seen that. But the question was, did Hobbs flinch a little bit before that, and was Gabby Thomas reacting to it? And I think obviously it did have an impact on her emotionally. That's incredibly draining. She was, you could see in tears when the cameras were following her, and then she has to come back. And I don't know at what point she was actually added and when she found out. I mean, NBC said it like literally like right before they were walking onto the track, and it was as if Aaliyah Hobbs like came out of the bleachers to run, the way they were describing it. But you don't know how much prep time she actually had, but it certainly is not ideal way for her to get into that final. But the 9-lane track came in handy for the folks in Eugene tonight, being able to add Hobbs. That's a nice luxury to have.
Yeah, and fellow FloTrack podcaster, Serenity Douglas, she tweeted, Tiana Daniels, her dad would be so proud. She's the underdog. She's the one slept on. I'm so proud of her with the burnt orange hearts. They're both former teammates together at UT. For those who don't know the story, Tiana Daniels and her dad, I believe her dad passed away. So dealing with, family, there's a lot of mental aspect to track and field. And every time someone is dealing with a family situation, whether it's a death in the family or just a hardship that you're going through, a lot of times you kind of package all that emotional energy into your sport. And sometimes you run for, your fallen siblings or fallen parental figures. We just heard on the broadcast, like live at the end of that race, was Sha'Carri Richardson announced that her mom passed away within the few weeks. So you don't know what these athletes are going through. And that's like an incredible thing to be having to go through, especially during the most important month of your life, where making your first Olympic team is all you're thinking about. And then just to have a family member pass so close to that, it can do one of two things. It can tear you apart and you kind of fall apart at this type of event, or you can take all the energy and just kind of run for that fallen family member. And clearly Sha'Carri Richardson did that today.
Mm-hmm. A bit more on Sha'Carri Richardson, because I think the public is going to get more and more familiar with her in the lead up to these Olympics. And she's unique, not just in the world of track and field, but in sports in general. Right. You don't see somebody with this combination of personality and ability out there. And I think she's obviously perfectly tailor-made for the current era of sports and sports media right now. And she's just going to be great to watch. She doesn't hold anything back. She lets her opinions be known. She celebrates after that. Sorry, I shouldn't even say after. During the semifinal, she points at the clock from 20 meters out. She's basically calling her shot. Say, look at that clock. I mean, we just don't see it that often at this level. And it's going to be a new experience for track and field, and I think a new experience for the public in general, the sporting public, when they learn more and more about her heading into Tokyo.
And the U.S. fan base is kind of eating it all up, and like they're enjoying it because they know that she's the favorite and her winning. But the international fan base, they're getting a little teed off by this, newcomer, first never been at a world championship runner, like, calling out Shelly-Ann Fraser-Price, saying that she's, you just be like, whoa, how dare you call out a generational talent like Shelly-Ann? But she's like, whatever, I'm going to run 10.6 right now. Hey, I can run 10.5. Why not? Justin Gatlin said in his post-race press conference, he thinks that Sha'Carri has a chance to run in the 10.5s. I don't know. Obviously, it's just an opinion, but I mean, the way she's running and she's young, I can see the next 3 years she flirts with 10.5s, maybe, dare I say, a 10.49. I don't know. That would be incredible. But she's going to be a fun one to watch these next 5 years. I can't wait.
Yeah, regardless of the time that she runs, she's a show. And I think that's the important thing. It's not just, yes, she's going to win, but whether or not she ran 10.8 tonight or 10.7 for the final, it didn't matter. You're hanging on every word. You're watching everything that she does after she crosses the line. It's just magnificent. And and wildly entertaining to watch. I mean, you put her against every sport you could go through, usually has somebody kind of like this, somebody who people just can't take their eyes off of. And right now in track and field, that person is Sha'Carri Richardson.
Yeah. So team Sha'Carri, Oliver, and Daniels. Making the relay team will be Jenna Prandini, Gabby Thomas, and English Gardner. English Gardner finding a way to get top 6, making an Olympic team. Gabby Thomas making her first Olympic team. She'll be coming back and hopefully make an individual team in that 200. And Jenna Prandini, I got a feel for her. She was running on fire in 2019, then got hurt and wasn't able to run in any of the finals. And now she's back and going to be able to represent Team USA on that relay. So good for her, for Jenna Prandini. 2 ducks, right? Prandini and Gardner making it.
And
Gardner had 4x1.
Gardner had talked in the press conference earlier about having COVID and dealing with it for a long time, the after effects of it. But the fact that she's able to pull it off at her college track, along with that was a great performance for English Gardner, right? Like obviously she would have loved top 3, but to get on the team, that was a huge performance for her.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.